Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for those who have been following me, I want to thank you, and I really appreciate the support. And being right here in St. Louis, Missouri, I had to bring up this latest prison release for this young lady named Gypsy Rose, who is now 32 years old, who got accused and convicted of killing her mother some 9 years ago when she was 23 near Springfield, Missouri. This actually took place on June 14, 2015 in Greene County, Missouri near Springfield. A little backstory, Gypsy's mother, Blanchard, said that Gypsy, ever since she was a little kid, was diagnosed, had leukemia, asthma, and muscular dystrophy, and that she had the mental capacity of a 7-year-old due to brain damage as a result of premature birth. So even when she was 10 or 11 years old, or 12, 13, 14, her mother said that she had the mental capacity of a 7-year-old. And she had Gypsy in a wheelchair most of the time, taking her back and forth to doctors all the time. And the little backstory on the mother had actually had Gypsy when she was 23 years old, or 24, and Gypsy's dad was 17. And he stayed with her for a year. They got married, and then he realized that wasn't for him at such a young age, and then they got divorced. And Dee Dee started manipulating the system with child support and brainwashing Gypsy that Gypsy's dad did not want her. And Gypsy had gotten her boyfriend throughout all those years, all the way up to the age of 23, and she got together with a guy and convinced him to kill her mother. So I don't know if Gypsy got to the point where she realized she was not sick. She was tired of going back and forth to the hospital, and she decided to have her boyfriend, Gypsy convinced her boyfriend to kill her mother. And so what he did, they got together one evening, came over to the house, and he stabbed the mother 14 times to death. He stabbed her 14 times and she died. And they took off to Wisconsin. Nobody could find Gypsy or the boyfriend, and then they eventually got caught. But what was so interesting about this story, so you have the mother abusing her daughter with these fake illnesses, and also benefiting from faking these illnesses with places like Children's Mercy Hospital, Habitat for Humanity, Ronald McDonald House, and Make-A-Wish Foundation. A couple of those organizations even built her a house, Habitat for Humanity, and she was getting free medical treatment, and they were getting tons of donations. So the mother, Dee Dee, made this a financial gain, all at the risk of her daughter's mental and physical well-being. This case is filled with abuse on all levels, from the mother all the way through the court systems, which I think failed all of these people. And when you're poor, no matter black or white in America, they can be the forgotten and the downtrodden. As we all know, 70% of incarcerated males in the penal system come from low-income households, whether you're black or white, and many of them have low IQ. So this stereotype is semi-factual when you look at the statistical data on many of our incarcerated individuals in the United States. And so subsequently, she ended up getting convicted and took a 10-year plea deal second-degree murder, and she ended up doing 7 years, and now she's out. So there's been this big media spiel. But her boyfriend got life in prison, and he had been diagnosed with autism level 2 and has low IQ, an IQ of 77. So there is a lot of controversy on whether he should have gotten life. Was he fully aware of what he was doing? We all know that people with low IQ can be easily manipulated. There's been no indication that Gypsy has low IQ, even though her mother was telling people that she thought, even at 20 years old, on a level of a 7-year-old. But she was sophisticated enough to convince her boyfriend to kill her mother. And she was intelligent enough that she didn't do it herself. Or maybe she couldn't do it. So her IQ must be a little bit above the boyfriend's IQ. And she sounds like she's got her wits and her senses about her now that she's out. And what they call the illness where mothers will fake illnesses on their children, they call it Munchausen syndrome by proxy. And supposedly Dee Dee's mother, Gypsy's mother's mother, did the same thing to Dee Dee. Faked illnesses, made Dee Dee feel like she was sick, and maybe she psychologically, this was running in their family, and she psychologically passes down from Dee Dee's mother to Dee Dee down to Gypsy. It is a completely unfortunate situation. As I said, Gypsy was living in a wheelchair and had many unnecessary surgeries, and they even did some documentaries and movies about this. I do vaguely remember this case. But I wanted to mention it because, like I said, the system failed all the way across the board. Even from the hospitals where the doctors were doing unnecessary surgeries, maybe they were benefiting for the billing of those surgeries and making money. The proper diagnoses, these specialists should have known that she didn't have muscular dystrophy and some of these other disorders that her mother was claiming. The mother benefited from the welfare system, from child support, and from all these donations from multiple companies. She was actually making a business out of her daughter being sick and faking these illnesses. And so that became an addiction. Her mother was not working, and she had taken Gypsy out of school as early as the second grade. So she was homeschooling her, so there was no coverage there as far as teachers and administrators. And she really insulated Gypsy and caused her quite a bit of physical and mental harm. So the big question for my listeners, do you think it was valid for Gypsy to have her mother murdered? Or do you just try to get away from her mother? She was 23 years old. So if she had the mental capacity to have her mother killed, she should have had the mental capacity to try to leave and move on with her life. But that's easier said than done. As I said, Gypsy ended up spending 7 years in Missouri prison. She's out now. She's all over social media. She has 7 million followers on Instagram. She got married a year before she got out. So now she's monetizing her backstory and her family story. Some people may feel like that is an abuse, but what other skill set does she have? How is she going to make an income if she's 32 years old and has another 30 or 40 years to live? And the media is coming right after her. And there's abuse on that side too, because the media doesn't give a damn about her. All they want to do is provide a storyline, and they'll do that by any means necessary. So she's done the circuit. She's been on The View, Good Morning America, all of these different media outlets. She has a huge TikTok following, newly married, but her ex-boyfriend is in prison for life with low IQ, autism level 2, and then the invariable philosophical question is, should he be still in prison. Even though he did physically commit it, was he of his right state of mind? Was he fully aware of what he was doing, what it's like to take a human life? Did Gypsy manipulate him the way Gypsy's mother manipulated her? It sounds like there was manipulation and abuse all the way across the board, from the system on down to Gypsy and her ex-boyfriend. Well, he's still in jail. He's trying to get his conviction overturned. Gypsy is out. I'm glad that she's doing well. But this Munchausen by proxy is a real issue. You don't get an opportunity. I've done a video before about you don't get an opportunity to ask God what family you're born in. I think love is an action and a verb that has to be earned and respected. So just because you were born into a particular family, if it's not a good family, I don't think you should have to love them. And sometimes the best thing to do is to leave them. And this is one of those circumstances where Gypsy was born into a family, and her mother evidently didn't love her and put her through all of this mental and physical abuse, and it ended up in death of her mother. It's a sad story all around. It doesn't make a difference if you're black or white. As I said to you before, have positive people around you. You don't have to like them or love them just because they're your family. You don't get to pick your family. Love is an action that you have to see and feel, and then you reciprocate it back. And this is an unfortunate situation that hopefully Gypsy can get some mental help. I think as opposed to both of those young people, Gypsy and her ex-boyfriend, going to prison, they should have gone to a mental institution. Gypsy definitely needs it, and I think that young man that committed the crime needs it. Prison is not going to make him any better. If he ever does get out, prison is going to make him worse. And then what skill set does he have to survive the rest of his life? So psychiatric and psychological treatment, I think, is something that for Gypsy and her ex-boyfriend need for the rest of their lives to navigate through this world in an orderly and constructive way. But this is a sad story. Take a look at that Gypsy Rose. She's 32 years old, from Springfield, Missouri. She's married now, and all we can do is pray for her family, her ex-boyfriend's family, and hopefully make some sense and learn something from it. This has been a Trevor Donald experience. Manifest your truth. Stay positive and God-fearing, and I'll see you next time.